Hello everyone, my name is Stanley, and you might be wondering what you're seeing right now, but I'll get to that in a minute. So if you haven't seen my last video, I was basically messing around with the Portal 2 level editor, and I think it has a lot of potential. It has a really nice aesthetic going with it, it's very intuitive, and you can create some fairly decent looking test chambers without putting much work or effort into it. Now, I soon realised there are some limitations, such as the editor doesn't give you that many items to choose from. You only have two different kinds of surfaces, portalized and non-portalized. It also has a size limitation of how large you can make your level. Now, if you look at this footage right here, this is a custom level made by someone that you can download on the Steam Workshop. It's extremely huge. It has a wide range of materials, and overall it just has a lot more detail put into it. Now, the reason why it's like this is because they didn't use the built-in Portal 2 level editor. They actually use something called the Source Engine, which is Valve's game engine. Now, if you don't know what a game engine is, I highly recommend you check out my Unity course, as it teaches you what a game engine is and how to use one. Now, unfortunately, in that course, you learn about Unity, which has nothing to do with Valve. So in this standalone tutorial, you'll be learning about the Source Engine. Now, the Source Engine is completely free. Well, almost free. You do have to download a Valve-made game like Half-Life 2, CSGO. Actually, no, Team Fortress 2 is free, so it is completely free if you download something like Team Fortress 2. Now, Portal 2 has its own source engine, and this is called the Portal 2 authoring tools. Now, I looked online for some tutorials so I could, actually do this one. Now, there aren't many videos based around it, so this is just a tutorial, just so you can have a bit more choice. Now, you might see in the top left corner it says Hammer, and the reason why is because we are using the Hammer World Editor, which is built into the Source Engine. So you might hear me say Source, you might hear me say Hammer. Just refer that to the same thing, even though they're not, just, So to install the Portal 2 authoring tools, well, you'll probably have something like this, or your games, just select Tools, and then scroll down to where it says Portal 2, and underneath it, it should say Portal 2 authoring tools beta. And all you got to do is install that. It's really quick, so it probably takes like 30 seconds to install, and you'll probably get something like this when you launch it. And all you got to click on is Hammer World Editor, and here you go. So enough rambling, let's get into the tutorial. So all you got to do is select File, New, or you can hit Control N on your, or you can press Control N on your keyboard, and you should get a window like this. I'm going to full screen this, and it's a bit off center, so I'm going to press Control A on my keyboard to center it. Now, you might be wondering what these four panels do. Now, these are the different viewports. So this right here is the 3D viewport, and these three panels right here are the different 2D viewports. This is the top view, this is the front view, and this is the side view. So to put this all into perspective, I'm just going to select this tool right here. This is the toolbar. I'm going to select the block tool, and I'm going to draw in the top view a large floor that is 1024 units wide and 64 units high. Now, if I press enter, there we go. Now, you might not see much in the 3D viewport, and the reason why is we're actually inside it. So, to move around in the 3D viewport, you use WASD, and to look around, all you got to do is press Z on your keyboard, or Z if you're from the United States or wherever. And there we go, we can look around, and well, this doesn't look like much. This is just some yellow lines everywhere. Well, the reason why it's like this is because we are on wireframe mode. We got to change it to shaded textured polygons. Now, I actually got 3D polygons by default, but for you, maybe it might be wireframe mode. It just depends. So keep that in mind. Now, we have this floor right here, but I'm not a huge fan of this texture. It doesn't really look like it's part of Portal 2. So, to change it, what we've got to do is go over here to this texture panel right here, hit Browse, and then in the keyword filter, I'm going to type floor, and that's obviously not a floor. Let's find something that is a floor. I quite like this texture. Nothing happened. Now the reason why it does this is because this just declares the texture for whenever you draw a new block. So if I say I draw something like this, there we go, we have the new texture applied to it. However, if we want to apply it to the old block that we just made, what we got to do, my headphones are falling off, we got to press this brick icon right here, which is the apply current texture tool. And there we go. We have this lovely, nice tiled floor. Now, to get a player to walk around this floor, we got to select the entity tool, and then we can, let's place it here. And there we go. We have a green Gordon Freeman, which is something you can't find in Portal 2, unfortunately, but you can find it in the Hammer editor. So that's cool. It's a bit weird. I don't know why it's Gordon Freeman. It should be like some sort of shell character, but no, it's Gordon Freeman. I'm actually going to center this in the top view just so it's directly in the middle. And there we go. Now, to play our map right here, we go to File, Run Map, or you can press F9 on your keyboard. And yes, we have to save it. I have this file called My First. I'm just going to overwrite it. You can call it whatever you like, but make sure it doesn't have any spaces, because Valve doesn't like spaces. I don't know why, but just don't put any spaces. Put underscores, put hyphens, but no spaces. Anyway, you should get this panel right here, which is the Run Map window. Now, if we press OK, nothing happened. Now, the reason why nothing happened is because Hammer doesn't like it if the player is exposed to this black void right here. It really wants you to surround the player with walls and ceilings. Now, if you've played a Source Engine game, you obviously know that, there are some levels where you're not surrounded by walls and ceilings. There might be a deep blue sky. Now, that sky is really just a ceiling, a normal ceiling. However, it has a special texture applied to it to make it look like the sky. This is called a skybox, and I won't get into it in this tutorial because obviously Portal 2 is mostly underground and you don't get to see the sky very much. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to surround the player with walls and ceilings. Now, if you're wondering, I'm using the scroll wheel to zoom in and out and navigate the 2D viewport. So I'm going to select the block tool again and drag out a block like so. I'm going to press enter. And that's not really a wall though, is it? Well, it kind of is. It's just really, really small. And that's not exactly what I want. Yeah, it's 64. Why is that? There we go. I want it to be 64 by 64. Exactly. I don't know why it's doing that. Bit strange. So I'm going to move this up to about 320. There we go. And then I'm going to select this. And I'm going to change the texture. I'm going to type in wall. And I quite like this one. Let's hit apply current texture. And there we go. Actually, I'm going to move this down, see if that helps. There we go. And there we go. We have a wall like so. Now, we could always just draw another wall like so. However, I don't really want to do that. I just want to duplicate the same wall as before. Now, to do that, it's really, really simple. Just press Shift and drag out the wall like so to the other side. And then we have two identical walls. Now press Shift again. And, yeah, well, we have a wall right here, but it's not facing in the right direction. Now, we can always just, hold on. There we go. Now we can always just resize it like so. However, I don't really want to do that. I just want to rotate it. So to do that, you just click it again, and you should see these little black circles appear on each of the vertices. And if you click on one of them, it should rotate perfectly. Now, if for whatever reason it's not snapped, so this is technically snapping, it's not moving around freely, it's snapping every 15 degrees. If for whatever reason it's not doing that, what you can do is select Tools, Options, hit 2D Views, and then select Default to 15-degree rotation. Now hit Apply, hit OK. The reason why I'm telling you this is because whenever I rotated something, it was moving freely, and that made me a very sad child. So I just looked it up, and there you go. You just go that, and just tick that box, and there you go. You should be fine. If you press Shift, duplicate it on the other side, and there we go. We have 4 identical walls. Now let's get a ceiling, which is very easy to do. We drag it up like so, and there we go. We have a floor, walls, and a ceiling. I don't really like the ceiling texture because it's the same as the floor, so we want a ceiling texture. I quite like this one. Let's hit Apply, and there we go. So let's build our game by pressing F9, and then let's hit OK. Oh, it still didn't work. That's a bit annoying. Well, it might actually work for you, but for me, it doesn't, because guess what? Valve doesn't like me. I'm joking. They probably do. Anyway, so, if this problem happens to you, I just select Expert Mode, and, I hit Go. There we go. We have our room. We can walk around. WASD, we can space to jump, and there we go. Now, you know, this is looking a bit boring. There's no actual lighting or anything like that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add in some lighting. So to add in lights, what we got to do is select the Entity tool again, and let's change. If you go over here to the Objects panel, we can change it to Light. There we go. Now, if we place in an entity right here, we have a light, and what I'm going to do with that light is I'm going to move it to the middle, like so, so slightly above the player. Looks like the player has an idea. Oh, look, light bulb. Anyway, so if I double click on this, we can change some of the settings like so. Now, what we're going to do in this tutorial is only change this brightness property right here. Now, you can see these 4 3-digit numbers, and if I click on Pick Color and change it to this bluey color, you can see those values change. So this is the red value, this is the green value, this is the blue value, and this is the amount of brightness. Now, if I select red, you can see it's 100% red, 0% green, and 0% blue. And if I select blue, it's going to be 0% red, 0% green, and 100% blue. But I'm going to keep it white for now. So I'm going to change the brightness to something like, let's change it to 350. Hit Apply. And then if we save our map, run it, and there we go. It's still a bit dark, so what I'm going to do is go back to the editor, double click on this, and let's change it to 500. And it doesn't look like much has happened. So what I'm going to do is actually duplicate this light. So what I'm going to do is Shift, remember you hold Shift, and I'm going to bring it over here, bring it over here. I'm doing this in the top view, like so. And there we go. This should give me some good lighting. And yeah, It looks pretty good. You can play around with the settings. Now, right now, you can't really do much. So what I'm going to do is implement some puzzle elements, because that's a huge factor of Portal 2. So let's create a door. So to do that, select the entity tool and change the object to, let's type in door, change it to prop test chamber door. Let's click in our world, and there we go. We have a door model generated by Hammer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna move it there. Maybe I'll move it there, maybe. I think that looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is double click on the door, and in the name property, I'm going to call this door 1. Hit apply, and I'll show you why we're doing this in a second. So if we create a button, you do this by selecting the entity tool again, change the object to button. We want prop floor button, and if I click, there we go, we have a button like so. Let me just snap it to the grid like so. I think it looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is double click on the button and select outputs. Now we want an output because whenever we push the button, right, we want to open the door. So to do this, we need to add an event, and then we need an output named onPressed. So whenever we push the button, we want to target the door, and then we want to open that door. So it's pretty self-explanatory. So of course we open the door, but if we don't press the button, we want to shut the door. So we're going to add a new event, and this one is going to be on unpressed. So whenever we're not pressing the button, we're going to target the door, and we're going to close that door. Hit apply, and there we go. Where's the door? Oh, it's behind me. Okay, so if we push the button, there we go, the door opens, and if we stand off the button, the door closes. Now of course, if we have a button, you're obviously going to need a cube. So to do that, select the entity tool, change the type to, let's type in cube, and we want prop weighted cube. So to place that cube, we just click anywhere in our scene, and what I want to do is snap it so it's directly next to the button. And if we double click on that cube, you can change a lot of the settings here. So you can change it from a storage cube to a companion cube. There we go. You can see it turns into a companion cube. You can change the skin type from clean to rusted if you like. Nothing much is happening. I think that will happen in game. So what I'm going to do is, do you know what? Let's make this a companion cube. There we go. So if we save it, run our map. So we have our cube. Let's place it on the button, and there we go. Now of course you can do a lot more with this, so if you want me to do another tutorial on this, I'm also fairly new at this. I don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest. I just decided to make a tutorial because I felt like it and I felt like making a video. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment if you want to see more. Bye!